Courtney Poulos, and this is the content around the content for Season 2 American Dream, our May episode with ConCreates. Thanks again for doing the show.
Thank you for having me.
There's a lot of stuff that we can't get deeply into on the show because there's not enough time. So I was really excited to learn about your kind of philosophy on the mixing of people in the federal prisons. That was fascinating to me because I don't think there are a lot of opportunities in the real world for a CEO of a company and a congressman and some stockbroker to meet with somebody who was a bank robber or a drug dealer.
Yeah, I think that's the beautiful thing about that environment that we were in federal prison was every social demographic is represented in prison, from religion to ethnicity to socioeconomic background, and we're all living in the same cell block. We're all living right next to each other, and so you get these opportunities to really learn from each other.
So what are the top 5 things that you learned from being in that environment?
I learned how to take a company public.
Okay, that's a good one. What did you learn?
I learned basically so you know how you may have a group of individuals that you may never, ever, ever, ever think about talking to, or just get to people from the Aryan Brotherhood, or people who have swastikas on them. Imagine being neighbors with these individuals and just having human conversations. Who am I to tell them what to dislike when where I come from, we crippin' and we happen to probably do other atrocities to other black people. So if we feel wholeheartedly about this and he feels wholeheartedly about that, there has to be a common denominator somewhere where we can talk. And having those opportunities where you engage in conversations with individuals that you might not see eye to eye with, but you have to be here. So it's not like being behind a computer saying, I don't like you because you do this, you do that. No, I want to know why, sitting down with you, why you feel that way.
So you feel like you have better communication skills as a result of being in that environment?
You have to.
And now you're using that for business.
Yeah.
You have to have good communication skills in prison. Think about this. We are 2 separate races. Me and you get into an argument, that's as far as it can go because it could turn into a riot. You know what I mean? It could turn into a riot. So it's protocols in how we have to communicate and interact. I can't just think for myself. I got to think for everybody that look like me and you as well. You know what I mean? So
why is it so racially divided in prisons? You just have to find your tribe and that's the easiest tribe?
I think people look at it like that, but I think history, you notice patterns, and it really keeps a lot of the bullshit down, right?
Because there's a leader and there's some control.
Well, I would definitely, there's that, but I mean, again, say me and you get in a fight,
right,
and I'll whoop you.
No, you wouldn't. Remember I told you.
Sure.
First and foremost, let's get that out the way.
Let's just make sure that
okay. Let's say you whoop me.
Okay.
And then I go back to him and I say the whites jumped me.
Right.
There's nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else to talk about.
It stops the conversation.
There's nothing to talk about. We're not going to try to get to the bottom of it. It's war.
Okay.
So a lot of that division keeps a lot of the bullshit down.
So were those CEOs and congressmen and stockbroker people also involved in these wars?
If there was a war, they would have no choice but to participate, or your ass is getting out of here.
So I guess they were probably learning some lessons too.
Well, that's the thing, right? Steel sharpens steel. So while this guy might be teaching me how to take a company public, we might be teaching him how to survive in here.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
No doubt. It's like the barter system. That's what we got away from. We were actually talking about this earlier. Human beings actually got away from the barter system because they put currency in place.
Right.
But in all actuality, I just need your services at what you're dope at. You know what I'm saying? And we exchange it.
Right.
And that's how we used to exchange game because there are only 2 groups of people in prison. Individuals who want to be better criminals or individuals who want to be better humans. And we surrounded ourselves with individuals who are determined to be better
humans. Yeah, that makes sense. You just did a TED Talk, right?
We did. We actually did a TED Talk together.
Yeah.
Which I think is amazing because normally it's just one person, but it comes out, I want to say April 26th.
Okay.
April 26th.
And what was the theme of your TED Talk?
Brilliance beyond bars.
Let's talk about that.
Brilliance beyond bars was a theme that we have actually while we were incarcerated because it was like we're we were actually full of ourselves, because just imagine like just making national news from sitting in prison. Like, we're gonna run laps around you guys when we get out of here. And the brilliance that was behind bars was one aspect, but the brilliance beyond bars was just our story, because we hit the ground running.
Right.
And we're still thriving. You know how many companies crashed during the whole COVID crisis, and we're a startup in this space, and we made it.
I started in real estate when the crisis happened too, and I made it too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's always a good time for somebody.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? And it does sharpen your, it sharpens your weaponry, so to speak. So when it's big and flourishing and great, you already have all your systems in place. I don't mind thriving in a crisis. I'm actually super down with it.
Love it.
I built my whole business that way. But I was going to ask you, you're still involving incarcerated people in your marketing program. How do you reach them? Like, how do you find them do you interview them for jobs? You go to the prison and say like, hey, we have a marketing position available, or like, how do you know them?
So basically, we started the system before we left, and those are like creating that circle of like-minded individuals.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, and what's dope about the federal system, and it's not one place. You have 117 facilities around the country.
Okay.
So now this is spreading. So now we're finding these like-minded individuals in the federal system.
All over the place.
Yes. So you have the email system, you have the telephone. We can email you a brief. You know what I'm saying? We can utilize that. It'll take time because they have to screen it, but we utilize technology in there as well.
That's amazing. So but people still have to apply. They still have to show you what they can do.
No doubt. Yeah.
So what kind of positions do you give people that are incarcerated?
Well, mostly it's a part of the think tank. You know what I mean? So we might send a brief, and I'll give you an example, right?
Yeah.
So an insurance company reaches out to us and they say, hey, we have this new insurance product that we want to unveil. Can you help us fraud proof it? Do you guys have any people that been to prison for insurance fraud?
Oh.
And so we catch me if you can it, right? We'll go find 15 people that we know stole 600 million, stole 80 million from insurance companies. And then we'll put them as a think tank, and then that's the brief for that group of people. Yeah.
Okay. So in my mind, I had it like people creating concepts on how you say like, I have a shoe I need to sell or something, and then you're like, how would this best like get to you? It's not
that's
just
a part of the process, right? That's a part of the process.
It's like but really it's like using hackers to prevent hacking.
We're reverse engineering,
reverse engineering,
right? It's a reverse engineering process because, like I said, you committed insurance fraud. You know, and there's a certain demographic of people where you say, why is it so racially segregated? There's a certain demographic of people who really play in the fraud space.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so those folks we specifically target them. So, you know, what we have found is it's really expensive to engage the entire network at one time.
Okay.
So then we had to like really start to think about a Latino in LA is not the same as a Latino in Texas. Right. So we had to start breaking it down into some of these same demographics. So now we know who we're targeting to get the best, most authentic ideas
inside.
That makes so much sense. Who have your favorite clients been? Like, what's your top 2 favorite clients that you've worked with?
I want to say TBS.
No doubt.
The reason why I say TBS.
Turner Broadcasting System? Okay.
Yeah. So, it's an interesting story. Happened to be on Clubhouse during the pandemic, telling our story, and someone from TBS happened to be in the audience.
Okay.
So they DM'd us, and they just so happened to do the marketing for The Last OG, which is about a guy who went.
I don't know why.
Which is about a guy who went to prison, came home, started a business. And so a lot of times brands always say, hey, you know, when we get the perfect brief, we're going to send it your way. And we thought there was no such thing as a perfect brief. But if there ever was a perfect brief,
that was the perfect brief. Okay.
So just recently, over the holiday season, we pitched an idea to TBS for a docuseries called The Real OGs, where we highlighted formerly incarcerated entrepreneurs, the real life Trey Barkers, if you will, and they bought it. It went crazy. Literally lives on the TBS website.
So it's there right now?
Yeah, right, but the flip side to it is like they were like, oh, the idea is brilliant, but make sure you guys highlight yourself. 'Cause this is the dopest shit ever.
One of the
So
stories
we
is
haven't
us.
got paid to
Wow.
do a commercial on ourselves.
Wow.
Like that was like a perfect brief.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it plays on all of Warner's things. Like I think they played it during the playoffs, right?
Yeah, it was
there's
lit.
ads for it.
That's
It's-
huge.
It went crazy.
That's amazing. And the future holds what for you guys? What's the dream?
The dream is to utilize the platform that we're creating and other individuals are giving to us to let individuals know that creativity without opportunity is what leads to criminality. And if you can write a rap, you can write an ad. There's just not one way to do it. Like it's not basketball. There are different ways to eat out here. And we're going to show the community and the district and Watts and all of the above that it's here for the taking.
Well said. Thanks, guys, so much for joining me on the American Dream. I can't wait to see what you do. And also, I'm going to try and work up some kind of perfect brief for you.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.